Good afternoon, ladies and gents. Today we are going to be making a 1895 walking skirt from the Keystone original book. One thing I will be adding is a ruffle at the bottom on how the skirt used to be in the Old West. So let's get started. We need to first measure our waist and our hip and make a circle, well, half circle, and our darts. And from there, we can do our measuring for the bottom of the skirt. And a boo-boo to help.
Give Mama the double boost.
Especially from the 1800s. Hi. But it's also a pain. I found the actual pattern from the 1800s. And so I'm going by that. They have vests in there, they got pants in there, they got everything.
So what are you trying to...
So right now, I'm literally doing how they say to do it. I'm getting the length, and I have to go around in a half circle like I did here for the waist. So I just have to go around with the string and do a half circle.
Okay.
Get off!
She walks on the seam too, so it folds.
Cause she's a little butt. Yeah.
And as the diagram says, I am using a string that I taped to the top corner where you start off. And it says, for it is longer than any tape measure, stick an L, AWL, into the table at O and tie a string to it long enough to reach C. So for me, I just taped it to the pattern, the wrapping paper, and I measured out to make that half circle for the bottom of the skirt because it is going to be way wider than the top part. And I am making the smallest skirt, which is going to be the bell skirt for right now. So this is the pattern that I will be tracing. And you may be wondering, why am I making an 1895 walking skirt? I have finally found my style, and it turns out it's from the 1800s. It's like Western skirts and pirate shirts. That's my thing. But I've always loved the 1800s, the beginning of the steam engine, so you get those cool steam-powered trains, and you get the Wild West. I've always loved westerns and cowboys, and there's a lot of cool inventions, the telegraph, and they made those clothes with a purpose. They lasted, and a big one is the ruffles in the bottom of the skirts only happened in the Old West. And that is because you didn't really need the ruffle for, many parts of Europe and everything because there was cobblestone. But here in the West, you needed it because you walked through dirt, through mud, everything. And it was really cool because that part of the skirt was detachable because you were able to just wash the ruffle part, and the skirt part was still good because it was less dirty. And I don't see very many people doing the Old West style with the ruffles and everything. It's a little bit more work, but it's pretty in the end. And I like the idea that they actually used it for a purpose. And that goes for all the clothes, and they were meant to last. And that's one thing that kind of bugs me nowadays is clothes don't last. It's what you call, I guess it would be that fast fashion. And like the pirate shirt I made was a little way later than, the Old West and all that. But even then, make it out of cotton, make it out of linen. It is super breathable. I've been wearing it around for a bit now, and I can't take it off. I love it. But these clothes were made for comfort because you didn't have, well, depending on your wealth and status, but a lot of people didn't really have that many, so they had to last a while, be comfortable, to go out and do work on, if you had a field, be cooking all day, cleaning animals and stuff for food, or feeding the animals like the chickens and everything. So it had to be durable, it had to last, it had to be comfortable. So that's why I've been fascinated with the history, and going into the clothing side, I'm even more fascinated. And it is crazy how different it is for not being a super long time ago. And so this whole thing of me making my own clothes, and I'm experimenting. This is my first time making any clothes. So I'm used to sewing like little things or dog beds and stuff, but never this. But if it's comfy and if it lasts, heck yeah, I'm gonna do that. And the skirt, the fabric I'm using for this one is literal bed sheets. And because they have a lot of material for not super expensive. And if it works out, I'll probably end up getting like more cotton, because they use a lot of cotton back then, linen. You only get your fancy silks for like the super rich or certain areas at that time. And let's not forget the beauty and the intricacy of these outfits. They go from like pretty simple to super, super detailed. And even the simple ones, like the ruffle on the bottom and stuff, they're all unique in their own way. And I love that so much. It's good to be unique.
down. Kind of see it. Now I'm just gonna cut it out and see if it fits right.
Now, the pattern that I cut, it does not add and take into consideration the half or full inch for sewing together. So I cut out the pattern, but I am going to be adding about half an inch. You can go either half an inch or full inch for sewing.
I got my practice fabric that I'm going to do. I cut out all the shapes, add in half an inch for the sewing, and see how it looks. Let's see if I want to make another panel to make it bigger. And I got a sausage.
And what I use to mark my fabric is just some simple chalk. It's a little bulky, but it gets the job done. And this isn't the fabric that I'm going to be using. I am going to be doing a practice run first, just to make sure I cut the pattern right, make sure it fits right, and to do any adjustments. The best thing to do, especially if you're new to sewing. It's a little wonky with the pins, but it fits good. So now that I got the pattern down, I know that it looks good. I like it. It's long enough. It's time to use the actual one. So we're gonna cut out from this fabric here. It's gonna be nice, pretty gray with white flowers. So we got everything cut out. So now it's time to pin everything to make sure it looks okay and it works. So let's do it. And I always decide to double check my work, make sure it all fits in the right spot, because the sizes of these panels are slightly different from each other. So I gotta make sure they match up before I pin them and sew them together, so I don't have to redo it again. One other really cool thing about these Victorian skirts, they had pockets, and they had big pockets. So I did add 2 pockets, one on each side between the front panel. I did not show it here, but they're essentially just 2 big rectangles sewn together that you just gotta make sure that the hole on the skirt is there to sew them together onto the skirt. Historically, the pockets inside of the skirts, they were actually at the back. So when you sat down, they had that extra poof there, and that would actually hide the pocket. But I decided to do it more modern, to where it was on the sides. And I'm sure some of the skirts back then were on the sides. It just depended on what kind of skirt it was, how big it was. And now it is time to sew the ruffle together. I decided to sew it because it was a little too thick. And of course I messed up a little bit. But practice makes perfect. And lastly, the clips. I am going to put 2, one on top and one on bottom, so that seals it completely. And there you have it, a 1895 walking skirt, Victorian. And I made it to look like the Old West skirts, pleats, and don't forget, it also has the pockets, and it is super comfy. It is easy to walk around in, and it's the perfect height to where you won't trip over it. Anything I would change, I would definitely make this a little bit longer, and so it won't show as much, and I would also make the ruffle a little bit higher and more ruffly. So I might do that by hand next time, but not bad for the first time. And I'm thinking about doing another skirt, maybe even the fuller skirt that they add on to this skirt. Comment below if you would like to see that. Overall, this is a very, very nice skirt and comfortable. I get why they made them. So I'll be probably making more in the future, that's for sure. Thank you for watching.